Make you a concealment expert. Torpedo screen penetration. Still got like 3 more promotions to go. Silent Hunter makes it you're basically just never going to get spotted. While Lancer would let you push through screens when you've already been seen. I think I'm going to go Silent Hunter. Cooldown or hit chance. Cooldown. No, hit chance while you're stealthing. Fuck it, you can get both. Excuse the language. There we go. Totally forgot I had not given you any promotions yet. Bring the pain, Helfrich. Bring the pain. This is vanilla, yes. I have 1,656 hours played in this game and I still avoid the Navy at all costs. Why? Navies are cool. Even after the AMTG expansion, reading the session, etc., I just don't understand it. So the main thing with the navies is understanding that your different fleets have an interaction. So ignoring submarines, which you just need submarines with a decent commander and convoy raiding. It's hard to show you because I have one ship, but basically there are 4 strategies you need to worry about. So for example, I currently have my 1 light cruiser currently on convoy escort here in the Straits of Malacca. Every task force you have, which is every one of these icons, so for example there are task forces in this fleet. This is my submarine fleet. In fact, we'll use this as the example first. So we have the 2 submarines, which split between the 2 task forces means that they can be active in 2 sea regions. So currently my submarines are in the Straits of Malacca and the Java Sea. They are set to convoy raiding, both of them, which means they will actively seek out enemy convoy ships and try and sink them before enemy screen ships like destroyers or like cruisers come to stop me. And even then, because of how good this admiral is, he has a lot of abilities. He can stay hidden, stealth and all that stuff, and he can keep firing torpedoes even though they don't know where he is. But the important thing is, convoy raiding is good for submarines, and if you want to be a little bit more risky, destroyers, light cruisers, and battle cruisers. Their job is to sink enemy convoys, either to sink troop transports or to sink convoys doing trade or supply. You then have recon fleets or patrol fleets, and that is what this guy is doing right now. This is my 1 light cruiser just because I've lost all of the others, and he's doing patrol. Let's switch him to patrol. He's not doing it at the moment, but he is now. So he's patrolling. His job is to scout around this one region, and again, if I had more task forces on recon, I could cover more regions. And his job is looking for enemy ships. If he finds a fleet of submarines, then he might try to engage them if he thinks he can win to sink the subs and protect the convoys. So that is not his main job. That would be the convoy escort job. But he's scouting for enemy fleets. And if he sees a fleet which is much stronger than he is, he will go, "Hey, strike force! We've got some bad guys over here." And then any fleets which are set to strike force, which is this one, will sit in port. And this is usually your battleships, your heavy cruisers, your carriers, stuff like that. Until one of your recon fleets goes, "We got somebody, come over here." Then your strike fleets go, "Aha, a fight!" And they will sail out and then engage the opponent. Now the reason they stay in port is because they tend to be very, very expensive. So 1, you don't want them just being sunk by random submarines out at sea. And 2, they suck up oil and fuel like there's no tomorrow. So while they're in port, they're cheap. That's like the main interplay. You then also have convoy escort, which are just screens, and screens are specifically light cruisers and destroyers, and only those 2. And they will then protect your convoys. And if you have convoy escort selected, you should be able to see how many you need or something like that. I don't actually know how this one works very well. And their job is basically to protect all of the convoys passing through an area so that enemy submarines cannot sink them. Thanks for the explanation. Didn't expect you to take the time to do that. I was overusing fuel and just derping about the ship types. Yeah, so strike forces are part of the reason why you're losing a lot of fuel. So make sure you have the real gas guzzlers, which are the capital ships. So heavy cruisers, battleships, and carriers in a strike force fleet. Now, this is important. Don't only have capital ships in your strike force. You also want to have screens. For every single capital ship you have, you want 4 screens. That's like the magic ratio, apparently. So if you have 1 battleship, you want to have 4 destroyers. If you have 3 battleships, you want to have 12 destroyers. And those need to be in your strike fleet as well. So the screen's job is to be in front of your capital ships, soaking up any torpedoes, any short-range fire, and any aircraft coming in. Their job is to protect the capitals. Then the capitals are in the line behind, shooting over the heads of their screens and actually doing the damage. I think that's the important bit. Like, if you have those basics, you should be able to do naval warfare. There are a couple more complicated things about it, which I'm still trying to work out, like how torpedoes work in a fleet battle. Generally, I only have torpedoes on my submarines and have them sneaking around doing the convoy raiding. One other thing which may actually be useful is this button, which tells you how aggressive your fleet should be. If you're playing as the UK, you probably want like medium risk, but because I'm playing as the Netherlands with like no ships, and every single ship that I lose is a really big blow, so I'm playing on low engagement risk, which basically means only attack them if you're absolutely certain you're going to win. Like if you're a medium engagement risk and there's 1 or 2 destroyers protecting the convoys, then the submarines might still engage regardless. But on low engagement risk, like there's a destroyer, run the hell away. So I hope that helps. The other important thing about naval power is how you build your ships. So if we go to the submarines, for example, because these are the only ones I've really invested in, you can add different modules to your subs based on what you want them to do. So at the moment I've got 2 level 3 torpedoes, a snorkel, which makes them a lot harder to find. That sub visibility is an extremely important stat, and then a level 3 engine. Generally, especially with this new update, you want your ships to be fast because they have a much higher chance of running away successfully if they're caught and start taking damage. There used to be a bug where if a ship started taking away, the entire enemy fleet would start shooting at that one particular ship. They don't do that anymore. So I have enough torpedoes to do some damage. I could strap on a 3rd set if I wanted to, but then the cost really starts to skyrocket. So you need to also maintain a balance between the cost of your ships and what you want them to do. Then the light cruisers are the only other ship that I've really been investing in. That's this class, the Bussy class. They have depth charges, which means that they can engage submarines. They have a depth charge stat here, 8. They have sonar, which means they can find submarines. They have a float plane catapult, which means that their surface detection goes way up, so they're really good at finding other ships. And then we have 2 medium batteries, which means they're going to be relatively good at brawling with enemy ships, but not amazing at it. And they have a level 2 engine, so they're kind of fast, but not massively fast. 30 kilometers is actually pretty good. And then only level 1 armor, so I've not gone with much armor. I want them to be cheap and I want them to be quick, because their main job is to find enemy ships, sink them if they're a sub, run away, call in help if they're not. Although they have no help to call on. Also, I'm trying to keep them quick because I do eventually want to start using light cruisers to raid enemy shipping in the same way that the submarines are. But right now I'm using the submarines because one of the things the Dutch have is this guy, Conrad Helfrich, who makes Dönitz look like a complete learner at submarine warfare. Like, he's just... look at all those abilities he has. I mean, admittedly, I've added a bunch of them. But his stats are redonkulous. He gets combat stats really quickly. He's just bar none, the best submarine commander in the game. He's very, very strong. Yes, helps a lot, thanks. Now I just need to turn myself away from Three Kingdoms to get a game going. I have the same problem. Three Kingdoms is rather good. Having some planes should be good for finding subs for your destroyers to sink, but I'm not sure they've got a balance on that working properly. So yeah, on land, part of the reason I have been investing in heavy fighters is because I'm using my heavy fighters to detect enemy ships. So as long as you've got air superiority over the sea zones, you are increasing the chance that your friendly ships will find enemy ships. I think if we go into this, we can actually see that. Yeah, our air superiority increases our ship amount impact by +6. I think that means you can find other ships more effectively. especially when paired with recon fleets. That's going to be a lot more effective here. And then obviously enemy carriers are going to be providing an aircraft umbrella to protect them against land-based aircraft. Can you modify convoys? No, you can't. Convoys are just set. And convoys have been debuffed with this patch, because in the past they were kind of too strong. They were especially good at shooting down planes, which was weird. Uh-oh. Okay, so here, excellent opportunity to show off exactly how this stuff works. We have the Japanese fleet, and they've just been detected by my 6 submarines. So down here we can see the number of ships that have been sunk. So clearly my subs were busy sinking their convoys, because there's 2 sunk convoys. And these guys have gone, or their convoy's gone, help, we're being attacked, help, help. Then the entire Japanese Navy has gone, aha, submarines, sink them, and come racing in. So at the front here we can see the screens, light cruisers and destroyers. Those screens are providing a 48% defense bonus to the ships behind. That's because they have nowhere near enough for the number of capital ships they have. This is a large capital fleet, bearing in mind the carriers also matter. So generally in a battle, screens can shoot at screens, they can shoot at the units immediately in front of them, as can submarines. Submarines count in this line, although they are not themselves a screen. And then the heavy ships can shoot the screens in front of them, and they can also shoot the heavy ships behind. I think they generally favour shooting capitals and then screens, but if they have a secondary battery, which is one of the modules you can add, they can do both. Then carriers are in the third line, and they are themselves screened by capital ships. Yeah. Well, no, these guys are screened by the rest of the fleet, and they generally don't die very quickly, and that's also where your planes are. Don't ask me how planes work in naval combat, I have no idea. I just know that if you have fighters, you protect yourself against enemy naval bombers, and if you have naval bombers, you'll be doing more damage, and then it's your ratios on how many of either you want is entirely up to you. The other thing to note is you will see this little eye with the cross through it. That means my submarines are here, but they're invisible. The enemy has not actually detected them yet. And that's part of the benefit of Helfrich, is he's really good at hiding his submarines. They never know where they are. And also my submarines just generally have an extremely low visibility, so they're extremely hard to find. So these guys are trying to find those subs, especially these destroyers, but they'll probably get away. And this arrow here shows that they're trying to escape, as does this bar. And that shows you the progress, and it goes up over time. And as those ships escape... Oh, bloody hell. We sank a heavy cruiser. Nice. I'll talk about that in a minute and why that happened. Once this is finished, they'll start to appear in this box over here, and that's ships either arriving if they're facing the enemy, or leaving the battle if they're facing away from the enemy. That basically just shows you what other fleets could be involved if they were. And we can see here that more destroyers are starting to appear, so their screening efficiency has gone up. So it's going to be much harder to sink these ships. And different naval stats basically determine when ships start to arrive. That's to do with positioning, I think. The higher your positioning, the more effective and more efficient your ship arrival will be. Plus there are some traits, which is one of the problems I have with my other admirals, which will say more ships arrive at the start or less ships arrive at the start. So, one of the things, which is a very big deal, which this patch has added, is in the past, as soon as submarines decide to leave, they just leave. Now, if submarines are retreating and still invisible, and I think that differentiation is important. If they are still invisible and retreating, they continue to fire at the enemy as they are leaving. Hence, we managed to sink a heavy cruiser. And clearly, because their screening capacity is not very good, we just managed to thread a torpedo straight through their screen and boom. One heavy cruiser dead. And torpedoes are kind of unique in that they cause critical hits, so they do a ton more damage, but they're also a hell of a lot less accurate. And there we go. We can see that my 4 ships have escaped. They're... flipping hell. Ha! They're pride of the fleet, their main battleship, has run away, and he's on health, because he was also hit by a torpedo. 199 damage taken by torpedo hits. One single torpedo reduced his health 50%. So we almost sank their pride of the fleet, sank a heavy cruiser, and did a bunch of damage to that heavy cruiser, who's also retreating, and that heavy cruiser, who is not yet, and a little bit of damage to some of the other ships. So these subs have been extremely effective here. And that is why Helfrich is so dangerous. And there we go, we can see the result. So 2 convoys dead, 1 heavy cruiser dead, and then a couple of planes. Clearly I've got some AA on there as well. Seems I need to stop playing at speed 5 to appreciate some of the finer details. Yes, yes you do. Speed 5 is fine at the beginning of the game, but after that I usually find I go down to speed 4 or even 3 if I'm like microing. They are trying to land. In fact, they have successfully landed, but they don't. No, they have a... It's not a port, it's a shipyard. Okay. I'm going to move you over here to help me counterattack this. Because these guys are out of supply. They can't actually leave anymore. So they're going to keep on trying to attack, but they're not going to be able to do any damage. So I just need to have a second army here because they may continue trying to do naval invasions. So I want the second army to just go and wipe these 2 units out so I can take my island back. But that is something I need to look out for. They'll try to land around the port, but they can't take the port themselves because generally I've got pretty good defences in place. My subs are again catching one of their fleets. It's dangerous. There's a lot of enemy ships in here. But I'm hoping that the submarines have kind of scared them enough. So he's now going to be here, building up his defences, or his organisation, and this guy is going to go and engage. There's cavalry, which is on, like, no strength anymore. And should be able to defeat him, because he has nowhere to run. Naval battle. We can see 4 subs currently going up against 2 convoys who are running away, and then their convoy protection fleet, these are just light cruisers and destroyers, are trying to screen them. So this is a screening fleet. Probably with the screen command. However... Oh no, we lost a plane. That's fine. Sank 3 convoys. That was the heavy cruiser engagement. I just hadn't deleted. And then over here, 5 convoys. Like, we're doing a fair amount of damage to Japanese infrastructure. And eventually, if I get enough submarines going, I'm just going to surround the home waters with subs. And because Helfrich is so good at hiding his subs, I think I can get super close. Speaking of which, how are we doing for sub-production? We're up to 7. Considering I started this war with 1, I'd say we're making a nice dent. Oh, I do need to import some more though. More steel, please, Britain! Another convoy dead. And we are continuing to liberate the rest of the island, taking some of my shipyards back, and there we go, done. Job's done. Like, my ultimate goal is to just flood this area with submarines they can't get any troop transports through, and then start flooding their homelands, home waters. And if I could cut them off from supplying China, that would be amazing, but that's going to be like a whole other step. Another thing is radar, in the same way as aircraft provide information about where fleets are, so do radar. And so do radar on ships themselves. You have different ways of increasing detection rates. So float planes and radar increase detection of surface fleets, and then sonar and actually radar increases sub detection. Am I going to PDXCon? I am certainly hoping to, yes. That's the plan. Radar tech lets you build land-based radar and upgrade the ship-based radar. Yes, it does. Just like AA lets you build more or better AA. AA tech lets you get better AA on your ships. So I really do need to upgrade that a bit. Minsk still hasn't fallen. Russia's doing a pretty damn good job against Russia. 2.4 losses to 2. The Soviets are definitely starting to take some serious casualties, but they've done an excellent job slowing the enemy down. Still no other naval attacks, that's good. 12 convoys! Hello! Would I consider replaying as Japan due to all the naval enhancements? Yeah. I may need to. I mean, I wanted to play as the Netherlands because they are the very serious underdog in this area. And because their navy is a lot smaller, you can have a lot more of a hand in how you want their fleet to upgrade and be built and stuff like that. But they're also a lot smaller, so you don't get to play with the fleet interaction. Like, I really like the recon ships finding the enemy fleets, calling in the strike fleets to go and kill them. And then how do you mix and match those two together? How's the USA doing? Well, the US is independent. Sorry, not independent. Neutral, currently. Not allied to anyone. Not really making any aggressive noises either. Fascist America. I thought holding out against Germany is doable. I abandoned the Netherlands because that's not what I wanted to do here. I wanted to relocate to Indonesia to fight against Japan. And once we hit January 41, I was like, right, that's it. We're leaving. We're going to let the Netherlands fall. Started researching AA tech more since Man the Guns. Tempting for me to put AA instead of AT in the divisions because it saves research. And that's the kind of decision I like. Game needs more of those. Do I have something in Suriname? Not defensively, no. I have a unit in Curacao, but that's it. My thinking is if Suriname falls, then either the Brits or the French will go and take it back. Hopefully. Well, that was decryption, I want to say. I think I'm going to go and grab encryption now as well. Thanks to Philips, our electronical abilities of the Netherlands are ridiculous. Such a strong upgrade. Entire fleet's still here. I'm happy I sank a capital ship. In fact, I've sunk 2 so far from my subs. Four more convoys sunk. This hit and run is probably really frustrating the Japanese. I mean, this happened historically. Helfrith historically ran circles around the Imperial Japanese Navy with just 12 subs. That's why he's rated so highly in this. Because he basically took the Japanese, or brought the Japanese down to their knees until they started to develop actually effective anti-submarine warfare capabilities. 3 more sunk. And now we have 8 of them here. So we're getting a bit of overlapping. Your screen sucks! I'm going to shoot straight through it. Please tell me I sink a carrier or something. That would be hilarious. Hit one of their heavy cruisers again. He ran away, but we did sink 4 of the transports. Has the US not gone to war with Canada yet, as that was their goal? No, they haven't. I'm getting a real kick just watching these submarines just doing their hit and run. That's another 5 transports gone. They just can't defend against this. So what I need is some really fast hit-and-run cruisers with light guns to take out their screen so that the submarines can just go through and thread their torpedoes. Another 7 dead. Dutch submarines definitely not OP. 10 more convoys. So how's your convoy situation, Japan? I really hope that a bunch of these convoys I'm sinking are their invasion fleets. I somewhat suspect that they are. And that's why I've been planting my submarines back here. Oh, we lost a couple of destroyers. And they lost another bunch of convoys. Ah, Australia lost a light cruiser. 10 convoys dead. Is there any way to see the makeup of your opponent's ships? Not sure. Not sure. So I am about to join the co-prosperity sphere. No. So why is India suddenly protecting this border so aggressively? Another 11 sunk. Right, you wanted to see if we can... Ooh, that battleship's nearly dead. No, can't see what their modules are. Oh, yes! Battleship! Heavy cruiser! Their cruisers just... carriers are just like, nope! I'm out. Peace. Battleship, heavy cruiser, and 5 convoys. They have no defense against this. Yeah, they tried to attack over here. I'm fine with that. Let them waste their efforts. Ooh. We have complete fleets. We're going to be getting another one soon. Enemy supremacy, 8,000 points, being beaten by 500. Another 10 convoys. Oh, I'm having far too much fun with this. Shouldn't be allowed. Seems your subs do a pretty good job. Can't imagine if you had more of them. I mean, you have to wait. Tier 1 and Tier 2 subs are okay, but they are also very, very flimsy. Once you hit Tier 3, this starts to happen. Especially if you've really built up your admiral like we have. Plus, this is Helfrith, so it's like saying, why is Rommel doing so much damage with his tanks? He is basically the Rommel of the sea, Helfrith. Oh no, they sank my convoys this time. Yeah, I think I need to start switching my production to light cruisers soon to protect my own convoys. They've seen my weakness. And that is, I'm not protecting my convoys at all. Expand the colonial army. Done. Here comes the manpower. Crikey. 30,000 to 687,000. That made a slight difference. East Indies war machine. We can get some more military factories. Yeah, I think that's probably the best plan. Then prepare for our return. Even more dockyards. I like it. We cannot continue to rely on our allies for equipment and ammunition. We have ample riches in resources. We must now build the industry to use these resources to supply our war machine. Whoa, here come the Brits. Hopefully to defend Japan. Defend China. Minsk has fallen, so the Germans are pushing. It's June, so it's not winter yet. Oh no, we're still fighting Africa. Not North Africa, but West Africa. And apparently Greece. That is a huge army in Greece. Interesting. More research, don't mind if I do. Let's have some more decryption too. We lost a sub, but we also sank 2 heavy cruisers and 9 convoys. That's a reasonable trade-off. So what I think I'm going to do is, this one is going to build 1 more sub, and then I'm going to switch you to light cruisers. And Roos in this house, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Will tanks play a huge role in this, a big role in this game? You mean for me? No. Unless I get amphibious tanks. But my job is mostly just naval. Like if I can keep the Japanese at sea and then destroy them there, hopefully Britain can do stuff usefully. Political power. You know what I actually want to do? I want to pull the strings with the British industrialists to get some free factories. And then I want to pop both of these so I can continue building up my oil industry and get some more free factories in time. Come on. Come on. 19 German convoys. I suspect that might be a German Lend-Lease.